Finally, the Long War swag is here. LongWarSwag.com, the official home of Long War merchandise. We've got a range of merchandise exclusive to the Long War brand, Next Level Painting, and Spikey Bits. Definitely log in today while supplies lasts.
Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The Long War begins.
We will invoke bow-wrenching fear into the dark hearts of our enemies. Hot rod rocket jocks of precision and strength, terrassing across the cosmos, hunting for heaven.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Stephen Ford. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
So, this thing might have happened earlier in the week. You might have heard of it. There's a new FAQ coming out.
What? Damn, that's the highest pitch I've ever made my voice.
Yeah, I thought it was Juice actually there for a second until I looked up.
New GW FAQ has the power to raise my voice several octaves.
And to bring all the boys to the yard, I'm sure. This, man, I don't even know where to begin. So obviously we're gonna cover the top 5 things that are new in the FAQ for everyone that I think really need to drill down into, and I'm sure cover some of the special abilities and stuff, because this is just they kind of knocked it out of the park. And I think, in the pregame we were kind of talking about, hey, they could have just done this one thing and it would have been fine, but really they did 5 solid things that really are changing up everything out there. And it's kind of nuts.
It's absolutely game changing. This is 8th edition, 8.2. We've seen 3.5 edition, in between 3rd and 4th we've seen. And guys, I don't know if you agree with me or not. I believe that before the potential 9th edition, if it ever comes, I believe we're going to see 8.4 and 8.6. I don't believe they're done. I think that this is the beginning, and I'm behind it. I like the entire shakeup. This is what they did to us with these beta rules and whatnot midstream is as big as introducing pre-measure to the game.
100%.
It's kind of hilarious, the fact that it hasn't even been a year yet that this game has been out and it's changed so much in that year's time. But imagine, this same thing's going to happen in September. So we're not even, we don't even know what's going to happen, what the reaction from all this is going to happen, but it's going to change again in September. And that's predictability. And that's what's cool about setting these goals and doing this and following a format that's very similar to like what Magic and some other game systems do, including FFG. So I applaud Games Workshop by coming up with a plan and not doing all this knee-jerking things. Although I'm sure some people could be like, well, some of these were a little knee-jerk reactions to some of the issues that were out there. And I'm sure we're going to weigh in on some of that here in a minute. But I think overall, it was a pretty good showing by Games Workshop so far with these changes.
No, I mean, I can't agree. I am itching to start talking about them. So, Robbie B, I don't know if we have
agree or you
stuff.
can't agree more.
I can't agree more that this is exactly what the game needed.
Juice has a habit of forgetting to say the last word in a sentence, thus fundamentally changing the meaning of his statement.
I'm like GW. I like to keep people guessing.
I was just going to say, is it Juice as written or Juice as intended?
Intended. Some will never know.
All right. Well, let's just first let's do the tabletop market watch. That'll take like 2 seconds because there isn't much. How about that? It's almost like Games Workshop decided to drop an FAQ at a time when interest was a little waning in the products they were putting out. I'll just leave it there. Anyways, Idonis Deepkin, they got the Namerty Reavers coming out, $50 box set. Volturnus High King of the Deep for $40. And there's a new hardback novel, Wrath of the Own Messiah, coming out for $27. 2 Kickstarters to keep on your radar. Judgment, the second Judgment Kickstarter, I think ends in roughly 2 days. So if you're hearing this and it's, the weekend, you're too late. You missed it. There's probably some sort of late backer thing that you can do. Some really dope human miniatures and monsters, semi-mythology and stuff. that are available now over on their Kickstarter. And Daughters of the Burning Rose, which is a sisters-inspired Kickstarter by Anvil Industries, just went live this week, and they have already fully funded. Both of them actually have funded.
Wait, Rob, you mean they're going to put... No, this isn't GW. This is a third party.
Yes. You can say sisters because it's not Adeptus.
Because you mean you can't own the word sisters?
You can't. Or Sisters of Battle, or Space Marine, or I could go on forever.
What? You mean you have to cram up crazy terms like Oryx, Drakari, Eldari, Ta'al?
Ta'al.
Yeah, Ta'al. Wow. That's the best one.
Or, hold on, wait for it. You can destroy a whole game system just to reinvent it with new names.
Just secretly changing the names of your entire IP is secretly easy.
It's secretly easy. You just cracked the GW code. It's awesome. But I'll still buy the shit.
Rob, did you talk about Mantic's Kickstarter?
Oh my gosh, how did I forget that? When's that go live? 25th?
The April 25th, the new Hellboy miniature board. I don't even know if it's a board game.
It's a board game. It's a board game.
Hellboy miniatures board game by Mantic Games, one of my favorite personal game manufacturers out there. I feel like they're known for pretty decent quality miniatures, not the top tier, but really their price is right. That's like what I'd say they're defined by. But recently they've been upgrading the quality of their miniatures. They have a lot of different game systems that are amazing, and this is what's happening right now. They just got that sweet IP, that sweet Dark Horse Hellboy IP, video game or comic book IP, not the movie IP. So now they're licensed to create all the amazing Hellboy miniatures. You may have seen we have pictures of the new Hellboy out on the internet. Angel Heraldez and myself, I believe, are the first two people out the gate with Hellboys painted. Angel has the pre-manufacture, the pre-production Hellboy up on manticgames.com. You can see it. It's beautiful. I have the manufactured one, which is the one you will get from the Kickstarter, painted on Next Level Painting. So if you guys are curious at all about the quality that Mantic is bringing with these Hellboy miniatures, just pop by manticgames.com. Fucking, you'll be sold. April 25th, that Kickstarter starts. Holy shit. It's go time, man. Hellboy all day, every day.
It's going to be a huge one. And Dark Horse, if you read their press release, actually had a lot of good things to say about Mantic. On the sci-fi things side of Mantic, I think also coming out right around the same time as their new Hornet dropship for 25 pounds, which I think is like $32 US. And at some point, they got their new APC Mule, which both look very futuristic, and I could see you using those.
Are those all, Rob? Are those all the Star Saga miniatures? Is that what those are?
I think they're Warpath. The
Warpath.
GES.
That's right.
Faction. They look pretty good so far. We got some of the Hornets in here, and they fancy. I like them. For the price point, you can't beat it out there. So that, I think, is the Kickstarter watch of everything we need to talk about. So jumping into the top 5 things you need to know about 40K right meow. I think so many. But
I like how Super Troopers 2 is coming out in like this weekend, and you snuck in a little right meow in there.
Right meow. Did you know? Guess what year? If you haven't read the post, guess what year Super Troopers 1 came out?
1999.
No,
2002.
2002. Yep. Isn't that crazy? It's 16 years old.
Instant classic. Instant cult classic.
I don't know a lot about these guys. I haven't done. I think I've read the first 2 sentences of a couple articles, so now I'm going to formulate a very expert opinion based on that information that I have.
Welcome to the internet.
Welcome to the internet is how we do things. But I feel like they've been trying to crowdfund this movie for years. The Broken Lizard Crew, I think that's the name of their production studio. They, obviously they did Super Troopers, Beer Fest, Club Dread, Dukes of Hazzard. I don't know if they did Dukes of Hazzard. I think they just were in it. Like I'm not sure. As actors, I don't know exactly what the deal there was. They did Club Dread, and that's kind of marked the decline of their work. And then they did the Slammin' Salmon. Remember that one? Nobody remembers that one. So so they started going downhill, and so obviously they wanted to get another hit. I don't think studios were picking it up, and so they crowdfunded it. It took years. It's really hard to crowdfund a movie at that level, and so here it is. It's finally here. I can't wait. I think it was the right move to go back to an IP that was successful for them, because they have had a lot of failed attempts at reclaiming the magic of Super Troopers, and I might see it this weekend while at Broadside Bash.
I mean,
it's a tough one to follow, right? Like anything major like that, how hard is it? Especially on the funny aspect of it. Step Brothers, anything that Will Ferrell touches, I believe that he can do it. The thing is that he doesn't keep coming back for more, right? There hasn't been the Talladega Nights 2. There hasn't been like Step Brothers 2. Like, I don't know if I'd be as intrigued to watch either one of those. Even though Anchorman 2 was amazing.
2 was pretty funny. And it's funny. Somebody in chat, I just want to comment on this. We normally don't do this during the podcast, but anybody who's listening to the podcast realize we do it live every week on Twitch and YouTube. My man Rumham says Beer Fest was on the downslope. Beer Fest is actually my favorite one they've ever done. That's my personal, but it meant something special to me. But it was my favorite actual Broken Lizard movie, because you got classic lines in there like $2 for a ZJ.
Probably the best.
I literally at Adepticon in the car with Jason Craze, Sophie's Gaming, rolling up by the front gate of Adepticon. There's my man Hank out there with a couple people, and he just comes up to the car like all shady. I was like, yo, $2 for a ZJ. He looks at me like he doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And then the 3 dudes chilling over there smoking a cigarette are like, if you have to ask, he's about to say like, what's a ZJ? And these 2 dudes are like, you have to ask, you can't afford. They beat me to it. Like, I was like, that's how epic, man. You don't get lines like that anywhere else.
Nope. So it's going to be good, but you got to see it this weekend, because if you don't, everybody's going to tell you if it sucks or not. Form your own opinion. Don't read just a sentence and then click on the article and immediately know.
I just want you guys to know I support any decision you guys make on the internet. If you want to read just the 2 sentences of my article and then decide that's what the article's about, that's on me, because I like, for example, I'm the guy who wanted to name this episode of the podcast Top 16 Cheaters of 2018. And then you would be like, are you serious right now? And then you would come into it and it would be us explaining how like none of the top 16 lists will be legal today. So it'd be a very formulated discussion. So, hey, as content creators, we bring it on ourselves.
We all have our very unique style, that's for sure.
All right, I'm sorry for roadblocking you guys. Jump into it. What's the top 5 things Kenny Boucher, need to know about this FAQ?
Tactical reserves. Of course, this is the beta match play rules. Tactical reserves and Battle Brothers. But first off, tactical reserves. This one is interesting. So let's run it down from the top. Instead of being set up on the battlefield during deployment, many units have the ability to be set up in teleportariums in high orbit and reserve in order to arrive on the battlefield mid-game as reinforcements. When setting, I think the key here is mid-game as reinforcements, because if you look on, well, of course I don't have it open, but if you look on page 215 in the main rule book on page 1 of the rules themselves, that over on the left column or the right column, it's going to talk about reinforcements as being arriving in mid-game, which is probably going to set up a lot of future discussion in this podcast. When setting up your army during deployment for a match play game, at least half the total number of units in your army must be set up on the battlefield, and the combined power ratings of all the units you set up on the battlefield during deployment, including those embarked on transports that are set up on the battlefield, must be at least half of your army's total power level, even if every unit in your army has the ability that would allow them to set up elsewhere. Furthermore, in match play games, any unit that arrives on the battlefield during a player's first turn must be deployed wholly within the controlling player's deployment zone, even if its ability would normally let it be set up anywhere. This does not apply to Gene Stealer cults that unit is being set up according to cult ambush, or to units that are set up after the first battle round has begun, but before the first turn begins, such as those set up via the forward operatives or strike from the shadow stratagems.
Juice, I'm not going to cut you off. Don't worry. I'm going to let you take lead on this one, because this is too much for my little brain. I just wanted to make a couple comments there. While Rob was talking there, I found it super entertaining for him to be like, on page 215, I mean page 1. Then on the left column, I mean the right column.
The right column.
Like, I don't know if you're the only one who got a little
From
chuckle.
pages 1 through 215 and right and left of the
It's
pages.
it's either.
I would like to make a clarification on the exact page. It's the first section of the 6-page rules that, you know, we could always get for free. It's right here. This is actually page 177 on the left side.
So there it is. He says,
I knew where it was.
Somewhere in the book between page 1 and 215 on either the left or the right.
Or the
you
right.
will find these rules. So I don't know. I just got to check on it. Rob, Juice, I'm going to pass it out to you. What do you think about this, man?
Okay, so first off, an unbelievable concept of I don't even care about deploying in your deployment zone at this stage. You're talking about I now cannot hold units in reserve unless I know exactly my power level. I've never given a shit about my power level unless I'm trying to Denizens of the Warp or something like that. That's when they've introduced this. Now you're telling me that I need to know. Actually, somebody commented during the live show, is this, does all these FAQs just trying to keep GWs, just trying to keep people from cheating? As I know, this one in particular is going to be a major one for contention, because you're going to have to be able to, for anybody who's using reserves, you're going to have to clearly outline and show rather quickly. Also, people don't need to be sitting down and figuring out numbers and whatnot on the fly. Like, you need to be able to figure out your power levels on the board and whatnot. It's an easy glance for me to say, you have 20 units in your army. Well, you better have 10 down and 10 up. You can't have 8 down and 12 up. Now you're telling me I see 6 units on the board and you have 15 in reserve. Well, those 6 units might be different power levels, this and that. I mean, I believe it's going to cause confusion. I don't know if it's necessary, but I can see why. Again, this goes against Hive Tyrants. This is a direct cut to Hive Tyrants, because people would deploy mucoloids that mean absolutely nothing. They don't count for gameplay whatsoever, and then be able to reserve 1-for-1, 1 mucolid down and 1 Hive Tyrant, 17 power levels up, whatever. 12 power levels, I believe. But also, major game change for anybody who wants to have a turn 1 assault army, which we all believe that 8th edition has been the best, one of the best so far of assaulting edition that we've ever seen. Armies that had no play in the game before have gameplay now. Or did, at least. Not being able to do it turn 1 is pretty strange that you're going to do this midway through, considering that this is the addition of more bullets than we've ever seen. Right? Like, nobody has seen as many bullets right now. A 30-man Termagant unit can shoot 180 bullets.
It's kind of the point when we first got into this edition, Juice. We talked about it, and it was remember you were like, Terminators are garbage and they're dead to me. Remember everyone was like, they got 2 wounds now. And remember I kept saying, it's like, but everything has like 1 more shot. Everything has this 1 AP. Yeah. And I was like, I just don't think it means anything. I think that we just have a lot more bullets than we've ever had fucking before. And that all, you know what I mean? And finally we had an assault ability to somewhat match it, but let's not lie to ourselves. Like, a shooting was still better than assaulting. Assaulting is a great mix-up tool, an amazing assault element that comes out of reserves and will crush whatever it assaults. Typically gets suicided and gets crushed in return. That's and that's kind of like the assaulter wargamer lifestyle, right? So at least they got to do that and have that feeling. And so, like, that's always the thing I said is, like, if I play an assault army, I'm just typically trying to go after that sensation but it sucks when I never get the opportunity to feel that sensation because I have no way to get to you. And GW and 8th edition gave us the ability to get to you. So the assault war gamers were very happy. And I think that this is going to make a lot of people sad.
Yeah, it's going to make a lot of people sad. You still have the ability to be in your opponent's face. Turn 1 charging is not dead.
Mm-mm.
The motherfucking Saint for free moves 24 inches, okay? Like, let's not get it twisted. Quickening, turn 1, a squad of singing spears moves 36 inches and assaults you from the front, okay? Like, all these special abilities that we're talking about happen via deep strike, via, coming to the game later. But if you never leave the damn board, and you just get to move and do what you want. Like, you're not safe. You know, there's still concepts out there.
And Juice, that's a great point. One of the things that you keep kind of like bringing me back around with your points is that, so essentially GW was saying in this FAQ that Rob read the quote for us, and I think in the designer notes it even says like this mechanic is meant to be like your army's being reinforced during the battle. It's not designed in their mind in the narrative storytelling device as a Alpha Strike ability. They have given us Alpha Strike assault abilities outside of this. They want this to be a tactical reinforcement ability where you come back in from downtown turn 2, turn 3, and you save the day. So they're allowed to say whatever they want about their game, and they're allowed to use whatever motivations they want. I would say go back to something we've been saying. Deep striking is one of the best rules in 8th edition, period. It was. And so, of course, as gamers, we want to take the best fucking rule that there is. And the reason deep striking was so good is because you can safely deploy your unit away from harms, the threats, everything from your opponent, and then confidently show up anywhere on the table without a scatter dice roll on the very first turn, exactly where you want, 9 inches away, and do your worst. And everyone was using it as an Alpha Strike tool. And because we want to combine elements of, you know, the best rule with things we like to do, people also made their assault work that way. Specifically demons with Denizens of the Warp and the Banner of Bloods and all these cool things. You know, there's how many bombs are there? Bloodletter bomb, Zangor bomb. Now there's a witch bomb. There was
a Singing Spear bomb.
Singing Spear bomb. So GW is simply saying, in the way I'm reading it, and I necessarily don't agree with its necessity, because I kind of think that accidentally us playing it not the way GW wanted us to made the game better. And so, but it makes sense to me. GW was saying, we have elements for you to do aggressive turn 1 assaults, but don't forget, this is a shooting game. This is a sci-fi future game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because,
go ahead, Robbie B.
well, I was going to say that, you know, 40K is essentially built on the backbone of Age of Sigmar, which we've played, you know, Age of Sigmar against each other. You literally, for the most part, end up in the middle fighting, or some other dudes getting objectives, and then you try to jump the line or maybe get objectives like that. That is not what 40K is. There's more tactics to it, but it seemed like that is what 40K became, with all the bubble wraps and everything, and people would hit and there'd be positioning, and then you do the whole thing, and it just looked like Age of Sigmar was shooting, like, if you think about it.
Yeah, I believe, like, I don't want to go to a damn standstill gunfight like, I don't like that. I do like the fact that there is close combat. I do like all these other elements. And so I think it was very front loaded, okay, on what assault armies look like. So maybe this is how it comes up. I also want to make sure everybody understands something too. Games are going to appear to be moving faster, in my opinion. For example, anybody who has a heavy turn 1 army can play that still same turn 1 army if they want, or still army, but it just happens on turn 2, excuse me. So that person's turn 1 that lasted 45 minutes to an hour, okay, because they were slow, or just because it was so heavy, now happens on turn 2. So please make sure in your local meta, if you have those, and this is just, you know what you get here at the Long Lord, we want to help the hobby. We want to weed out hobby bullies and whatnot, and slow playing, and, you know, bringing the hobby back. Do not allow your local trolls that only get turns 2 or 3 in maybe to say, well, look, guys, I'm getting 4 turns in now. It's like, no, Buster, 4 turns is out of here. If you aren't getting, that is like the bare minimum of what you should be getting, in my opinion, as of right now, what you should be able to getting with this new FAQ drop. GW has said that half of what people want to do, or 40% of what people want to do out of their army, you can't do turn 1. So that means turn 2 is when it's going to start happening. We need to be getting through 5 turns with no problem. So don't allow your trolls to say, well, I got turns 3.5 turns. That's better than normal, as I know. They just gave you an out. Just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. There should not be. We should be getting to full, 5 to 6 turns.
Play a full game.
Yeah.
So Rob, just to clarify, just to sort of summarize, point 1, 5 things you need to know in the FAQ.
Tactical reserves.
Tactical reserves, essentially, to summarize, When you deep strike or enter the game through reinforcements, you can't leave your deployment zone on the first turn, but on turn 2 and 3, you can be anywhere.
Yes.
That is
anywhere you want.
literal game changer. What else?
It really is. 100%.
Yeah, and then now tactical reserves. Also, the key point is power levels. Instead of having multiple units on the board, no one cares about the unit. If you have a 20 power level unit on the board, you can have up to 10 2-point power level units in reserve. There is no need for 1-for-1 anymore. You only have to go 1-for-1 power level points.
Next up is Battle Brothers. And that's the big one. The GW billed it as no more soup. But, I'm sure we're going to have some thoughts on this. All units in a detachment in your Battleforged army must have at least one faction keyword in common. In addition, this keyword cannot be Chaos, Imperium, Eldari, Ynnari, or Tyranids unless the detachment in question is a fortification network. This has no effect on your army faction. So just to summarize that, you can still have a Battleforged army, but each detachment has to share a keyword. So
more than one. Yeah, it has to have a defined keyword instead of a faction keyword.
It isn't one of those.
Since we predicted this since day one. I mean, like literally since the days of indexes, when we first, and there was all this confusion about how you made armies, and everyone was like arguing if like an army that had a unit of Chaos Space Marines, unit of Cultists, unit of Nurglings was an actual battalion because they weren't in the same index, or they weren't in the same fake codex within an index. We've been arguing about this since day one, and we've been saying, at least here at the Long War, that this was going away. Eventually, the rule will probably just be 2 keywords in common will probably be the rule.
Yeah, I think that's the exact statement as that was said, is you have to have 2 keywords in common. And they pulled the trigger a little early before all the codexes were out. Good for them. I'd like to see this out there. It has kind of been a problem, but in all reality, for the super races, super factions, it doesn't matter. It's still a leg up on everyone else. Orcs only have an index to deal with. Nids only have Gene Stealer Cult that they can truly try to interact with.
Yeah, anyone who's still in an index, they're just like, none of these rules mean anything to me. Like, I'm just waiting.
Yeah, like what?
Like,
Krons can only come out of their own book, right? But so in a Battleforged army that has 3 detachments, the Imperium player still gets to have a Custodes detachment, a Blood Angels detachment, and a Guard detachment. What the hell in all reality did that change?
It's the same thing.
An Eldar player now can have an Eldar Ynnari list or detachment, a Homunculus Coven detachment, and a Dark Eldar Cabal detachment, all in the same army.
Let's take 1 second to clarify how this prevents soup. Now, obviously, you can define the term in wargaming soup however you want, but the way we're defining it and a GW means in this is creating a single detachment within a Battleforged army. A Battleforged army in match play can have 3 detachments. The way you make a detachment is as follows. There's a list of detachments. You have to meet the prerequisites for them, and then you're good. In there, it says they have to have a single keyword in common, right? So Chaos. Let's use Chaos as an example. I can use the super cheap Chaos Renegades from Forge Worlds for troops and heavies and fast attack. Then I can go and get the ones I really want, like Nurglings as one of my obligatory troops. The super cheap HQ, get the real HQ I want, the Lord. Sneak in, get this 1 unit of cultists that I want, that for this one reason, to tell the traders. So at the end of the day, what I've done is I've created a legal Chaos detachment that is a brigade that unlocks all the extra command points. I've abused multiple books, gotten the cheapest of all units to get these extra keywords. And I've done this by just using a single keyword, Chaos, not Hereticus, not demons, nothing. Right? So Chaos is a super faction, as Juice just said. So is Imperium. They have more choices than anyone else. So in the world of exploiting, like brigades, that's where that came up. Now, I will admit, it's not a real big problem in the game right now. It was a problem last year, but it's currently not a problem. Practically an unnecessary FAQ, but there it is. It was coming. We all knew it was coming.
Do you think, and I'm just going to put the tinfoil hat theory out there, that between the Battle Brothers rule of this and the power level requirement for your tactical reserves, that they're trying to mess with the folks that do like the army builder type programs. Because imagine you're pick one, Battle Scrap or whoever, right? Like how much extra work do you have to do right now in your product? Whereas Games Workshop said, hey, we're already coming out with the army builder. Plus, if you go to their site, they have an army builder for Age of Sigmar already. And it's actually good. It just doesn't tell you the abilities of your what your models do. But in Games Workshop's eyes, I feel like they think that, we need to have the book in our hands anyways, right? So I don't know, just throwing a little theory out there, because all of this stuff, once you start looking at it, it's like, okay, I could see that point perhaps.
I want to go back in time just real quick before we move on to the next point. When Juice was talking about, or I think it was Rob actually was talking about Congo lines and bubble wraps, I do have to admit, I'd like to see a game evolution in Warhammer 40K that didn't involve extra amounts of seconds and time and stupid looking, battlefields that have that mechanic still. Like, because that, to me, I use any tactic available to me to win the games if possible. So Congo lines and bubble wrap, circles and designs, and manipulating the rules on movement to put my units just together just right to make you impossible. I'd like to see that go away because I think it looks silly. That's the main reason. I think aesthetically, when I'm trying to observe a war game and enjoy it for what it is, it's a little silly. And I would like to, so essentially like this Alpha Strike, Deep Striking thing we just touched on, like knowing that can happen to you on turn one, except for these several examples, I like that. I think it's a step in the right direction. I just don't like having my favorite tool taken from me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you on that. I just don't know if it'll ever will, because it's literally such a modular game where we're on ruins, we're on this, and there's that. I like the aspect. That's always been one of my favorite is, keeping bubble wraps tight, knowing what to do. If you're telling me we don't need bubble wraps, like it comes down to truly get rid of assault. I think that's the only way you get rid of bubble wraps. Like get rid of assault, period, and only go guns, and who rolls the best dice.
Well,
so, but either way, I think the super factions are always going to be on the top because of, what they can bring and have stuff, that Necrons, that other books that are standalone, true standalone, can't. But continue. Where are we at, Robbie B?
We are moving on to the rules of three. So, yep. Replacing the box on page 214, where they had already previously recognized organized play, believe it or not. They basically just replaced the chart with a restriction on the number of times each data sheet can be included. For up to 1,000 points, it's 2, 1,001 to 2,000, it's 3, and 2,001 to 3,000, it's 4 per army. Now, this doesn't apply to troops or dedicated transport, battlefield role, or does it apply to any units that were added to your army during the battle that cost reinforcement points? So that's where the rule of three gets us.
That is sick. The rule of three, meaning we thought it might be 0 to 3 Hive Tyrants, and they have a list that says Demon Princes, Hive Tyrants, Cold Star Commanders. No, guys, it is everything in the game except 2 choices. You can only have 3 units of mortars. You can only have 3 units of Hive Guard. I mean, this is unreal. This goes back to like 4th edition. 0 to 3, units.
Juice, I think we're also going to get a little bit of clarification on the data slate thing, because intent versus rules. Like, what is a data slate? Is a Codex Demon Prince a different data slate than a Hereticus Astartes Demon Prince? I mean, they have exactly the same everything except a couple of crucial rules. Like, they don't have the same keywords. One of them has Hereticus, one of them doesn't. They don't have access to the same psychic powers. You know what I'm saying? Like, their marks do different things, actually. Like, Mark of Tzeentch gives you ethereal form. Like, so that's going to be needing to be addressed. Like, what is GW's intent there? Because on paper, I can still run 6 Demon Princes if they are different data slates.
And that might even be true too, because, like, for example, does Pask take up a Leman Russ slot? Can you have 3 tank commanders and Pask? Right? Because it says you can't have more than 3 of the same data. So I'm with you. Like, this isn't over. The saga is not over here, but for the most part, it does. It fixed a lot of a spamming aspect in the game. Right now, let me just tell you what everybody is playing with this Saturday. If there's a tournament that's happening this Saturday, I know, Kenny, didn't you say that you're playing in one?
Yes, sir. I'm going to be at the Broadside Bash at Kingdom Con in San Diego this weekend, and we are not playing the new FAQ.
They're not playing the new FAQ. Got it. If you were, let me tell you what would have won it. Gilliman and 11 Razorbacks.
So, just like see, that's what I'm saying. It's like a reset. We're back to the old days.
Yeah. So you're telling me that I can't spam. Let me just before we figure out anything, this list is just an auto win button, right? So no, this does a lot to some of the lists that were major issues. Like, obviously any clown, that was running 7 Hive Tyrants, like, yep, you ruined it for everybody, not doing it anymore. Like, I don't even think, again, it was good in a mission structure, but it wasn't that good in overall, right? That's actually goes to a point Rob B wanted to talk about was, if you go back and look at 16 top lists at Adepticon, there's only probably 2 of them, myself and Jeff Robinson, that could convert over to lists that survive the 8.2 edition.
My point,
0 to 3 is game changing.
Yeah, my point on the 0 to 3 is it is a game changer. And I do find this to be the rule that we needed. The rule that maybe we didn't deserve, but the rule that we needed, or something like that.
Some of us deserve this rule.
Yes, definitely.
This is a good rule. Every list that I can play is a spam list. Now, I did mention the Demon Princess a second ago. I know they're different data slates, but what I'm saying is intent versus rules is written. I believe GW will FAQ the FAQ really soon, because that's what happens, and because I don't believe it is their intent for us to run.
You're not going to be able to get 9 just stop.
They don't want us to do it. I promise you that it's going to be an FAQ inbound to stop stuff like that.
Yep. I love this, dude. Like, this so again, like in the Beats Lab, talking with some guys, and we're talking about list ideas, and what about this unit? What about this unit? It's like, oh, that's shitty. And it's like, is it really shitty now when you can only take 3 of some units? So I really like, what that does? Oh, Kenny, I'm just putting this together, and I've talked about this stuff for like 4 solid days or 3 solid days since it's dropped. Do you know that AdMech and Tau simultaneously, even though I just said that both these armies are overcosted for what you get, if armies can only take 3 of something that is very points efficient, right? If every other army can only take 3 of them now that are points efficient, where they were taking 10 of them that were points efficient, that AKA ran up the price and made everybody else look as bad, who is expensive as shit, I think AdMech and Tau did just get a major boost.
Because what's going to happen is that, so my favorite things to exploit, decimators. I can only take 3. So now I have to take 3 things that are not quite as point efficient. Then I have to take another 3 things that are quite as point efficient. So at the end of the day, you're right. I have a bunch of elements in my army that are like 2nd most efficient, 3rd most efficient, 4th most efficient.
Correct.
So now I'm closer to the power level of Tau, and I do believe Tau are going to be really strong because of that. And it's like we said, snap right out the gate, day 1. This deep stack rule, 0 to 3 data slate rule. It doesn't take a genius to realize that it's gunline 40K for some period of time. I'm not saying that the game is going to be gunline 40K forever, but for a couple of months, like Drew said, Gilliman Razorbacks again. Anybody standing there and shooting with mass rerolls and bubbles, they're going to be on top for a little while. And then we're going to figure it out. Then we're going to get board control back. We're going to get mobility back. We're going to get speed back. And it's going to be fine. And to caveat all that, I do think that 8th edition 40K, I've been playing this game since 1997. This is the most fun and most fun and most rewarded I've ever felt for being a Warhammer 40K player is in 8th edition.
Yeah, this is we're at a good time. We're at a lucky time of playing 40K because it's not always been this cool. I think we will have time. If not, I just want to throw this in because I know we want to run through the top 5. But pro tip for anybody who is wanting to still run an assault army during this crazy time, make sure that you cannot go all in. You have to be able to, on turns, if you go first, on turns 1 and 2, you need to be able to kill screens. More than ever, if you're thinking that you're going to come in, you need to have Thunderfire cannons, you need to have mortars, you need to have whatever else you can to kill 5-man ranger units, to kill Nurglings, because what this is doing, if you don't see the writing on the wall, it's not even the fact that you can't do it turn 1. It's the fact that your opponent now is going to spread the hell out, and he is going to be mid-board. So, and cover his entire backfield and cover everything. So you might as well have just deployed yourself, right? So you have to immediately start right now, have your 2 units that want to assault on turn 2, and then fill the rest of your army with bullets that kills screens. Pro tip.
I was not just muted. Both sponges and and extra bullets to deal with sponges.
So you need things to be in more than one place, things that can absorb damage. You need some shooting. Overall, we're gonna get a more balanced game. And I'm with that. I'm with dealing with deep striking being taken from me, because I do believe that we were in a more balanced game yesterday than we are today. But we'll see, like, for sure. Like, there were checks and there were balances yesterday for everything, because the way deep striking worked specifically. I think that's why I think GW will repeal the deep strike beta in a very snap FAQ, because that's their history. When 90 days of gunline hell happens, and they're gonna snap FAQ it, and before we actually figure out the new shit, that's just my prediction at this point. I'm not like, I have shaky ground to stand on with that statement, but that's just how I feel is going to happen. I feel like it's going to be a snap repeal of that beta in the next 90 days of gunline hell.
Well, I mean, technically we got 120 days till the next FAQ comes out, assuming they don't get behind or whatever. They were very ambitious. I applaud them in what they said they were going to do. They were very ambitious with everything that was going on with Gamma, with Adepticon. They already were 2 FAQs behind the other books. So they were very ambitious, and they were very, upfront about it. Hey, we were ambitious. Can't fault them for that. They're getting out there, engaging with us even more than they had in the past. Something that Kenny, that I had written down to base an article off of, I would say 2 years ago. It was right on the tail end of 6th. Probably just when 7th had started, or I don't know exactly, but I've had this Post-it on my desk after talking to Kenny, and it says the tenets of 40K. One of them is immortality versus kill power, which we just talked about literally just then. Speed versus board control, and MSUs is what they used to call them, multiple scoring units, right? And that's literally what we just said. Hey, 8th edition, it's pretty much the same stuff, just a different rules frame set to work with, that made lists successful in each of the past 2 versions of the game. Still going to make you successful in this version of the game.
Yep. And I think now with the ITC ruling, and which most tournaments, if they're smart in all reality, are going to follow suit with this, making bottom levels of ruins line of sight blocking and introducing more line of sight blocking terrain, gun line armies that don't have indirect fire always suffer. We've seen it time and time again. That's how come assault armies did get really strong there, because they could hide behind terrain that cannot be on the board and then pounce on someone. So more than ever right now, having potentially a balanced list until this all kind of gets worked out, I do believe is really strong too. So what point are we at now, Robbie B?
So we're on point 4, reinforcements in general. So we're going to run that down. That's from the main rulebook FAQ, not the big FAQ, the main rulebook FAQ. It's on page 5, I think. We'll go with page 5, final answer. The rules for reinforcements say that when a unit is set up on the battlefield as reinforcements, it cannot move or advance further that turn, but can otherwise act normally. Can such a unit make a charge move? Can it pile in and consolidate? Yes to both questions. The second part of this is, can a unit Can such a unit move or advance for any other reason because of abilities such as Swarm as Hive Commander, or because psychic power such as Warp Time from Dark Hereticus, or because of a stratagem like Metabolic Overdrive from Codex Tyrannus? The answer is no.
Oh my God. First off, the salt and the hate levels, you're going to give me 3 points. 2 of them have got to be NIDs? Wow. I feel like I need to have a shirt that is like, where's the NID love at? Okay, right now. Also, I would like to make another point known for anybody who doesn't believe that they're listening to the show, our fans and friends that listen to the show. GW has all ears listening to us. Let me tell you why. We've said this over and over again, but Metabolic Overdrive was and is a stratagem that isn't known by anyone. Okay, I can't tell you anybody who knew. A matter of fact, I'm a Jeff In Control Robinson, who claims himself as being a high-level NID player. I played him round 3 at Adepticon. Literally called me a liar that I could not use this stratagem because I was not a Kraken. He had no idea that this stratagem existed. So, I mean, I'm just here to say that we talked about Metabolic Overdrive about 100 times in the lead up to Adepticon in battle reports. So either way, I don't even know why you would want to Metabolic Overdrive, because you take mortal wounds and you can't charge afterwards. It's not like, Warp Time, or it's not like something. So it's not even like the best of examples of what you can do showcase. But this is highlighting, if I'm not mistaken, one more time, Ron B, all these statements are highlighting the fact that you cannot use these after you come in out of reserves.
Right.
Deep striking is this, right? This does not stop it, ladies and gentlemen. So before we touch on what that actually means, no, actually, let's not. Let's talk about what that means. Turn 2. This is not just turn 1. This is any point of the game. I deep strike in with my Warp Talons, my my Raptor, excuse me. This was something big at is it Nova this past year? You have Warp Talons. You come in and then you Warp Time them. I'm 9 inches away and then I Warp Time them. Now I'm 1 inch away from you. That is illegal right now. You cannot do that.
On any turn, yep.
If I have a Trigon that comes up and I bring a unit with him, like 20 Gene Stealers or Raveners or something like this, you cannot now Cunning Alien them, Swarmlord's ability out of the deep strike. You can't be 9 inches away and now be 1 inch away. You can't do that. But let me tell you what the hell you can do. I can put a squad of Gene Stealers on the gun line, move and advance them, and then Cunning Alien them. So they get to move and advance again. So they're just moving the verbiage around on when you do this. So now, Robbie B, this is very important. It says via reserve, correct?
So it uses the terminology set up on the battlefield as reinforcements, which is what I was talking about that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and let's just clarify one more time now that we're on this point. As reinforcements.
Rulebook FAQ, page 6, upper right.
If a unit uses a rule that removes them from the battlefield and then sets them up again, such as Teleport Home or a Gate of Infinity, does that unit count as having moved for the purposes of moving and firing heavy weapons? Yes. Treat such units as if they are arriving on the battlefield as reinforcements.
So, wow, Psych, big shout out to Prometheus14 on Twitch. Thank you so much. So, negative, GW doesn't want you doing any of that shit.
Now, wow. The interesting thing about this is it's not in magenta. This was already in here.
No, here's why. GW had plans within plans, right? So this FAQ was old. I remember hearing this. This is an old FAQ. Why would they say this? They said this because later they were going to fuck with reinforcements.
Yo, that is the stupidest I've ever heard in my life. I can't even understand that. This doesn't even make sense to me. You're telling me that the jump doesn't work, but the Saint for free can. So does that mean that the Saint can't double move her ass? Like with her faith point? Is there? I need to scour the. Yeah.
And now I'm right back to my original opinion, Juice. Like, remember I was really hot like during the webcast where I was like, no, this whole Deep Strike beta is garbage. I'm back to it now. 100% back to it. I hate
Absolutely
it. I hate
trash.
it. It's a need. I said this in the webcast. It's a GW knee-jerk reaction to a over evaluation of the power of assault. Assault is not that fucking powerful. It is literally me having to get really close to you. I have to pass a psychic check, use a fucking command point, burn a command point to get this special banner, get this relic, get that relic, and then I charge you. Then I spend 3 command points and I attack again. Like, that's assault. That's how you make assault units effective right now. And then after I do all that, you fucking kill my unit. Right?
So,
where shooting gets to do it the whole fucking game all day long unabashedly. Like this, so they overvaluated that threat level, and this fucking FAQ is garbage. That part of the FAQ, the beta of this, like I said, I go back to it. That shit will get repealed. People are not gonna be happy.
So rules is written in the rule book, and this is gonna get super monotonous if you gotta like check rule books and then check each individual FAQ and then check the other FAQ, the rule book FAQ plus the big change FAQ. Now we're getting to the point where I was complaining before about all the different books you had to have just to have an army. Regardless, Acts of Faith says the Hand of the Emperor, the unit can immediately move as if it were the movement phase. So I think theoretically you're okay there.
Oh, you're 100%. It was almost a facetious question. Like, you're 100%. Alien cunning can be done. Like, it's just, tell me what the hell the difference is between picking a boy unit up and having going through everything that you have to go through, the successful psychic check, not killing yourself, making it go off, not denying the witch, moving a unit 9 inches away from someone, or the saint torpedoing up. And for anyone who says
or just
30 boys,
or just quickening, or just one time
9 singing spears, or just putting Mortarion up in your face, like, what is the damn difference between that? Please, someone tell me. And somebody better not say, well, 30 boys are more deadly than the saint. You need to play Age of Sigmar. There is no math that puts 30 boys up.
I'd have a lot more respect for this FAQ if GW just fucking said that. If GW just said, this is a shooting game, sci-fi soldiers shooting guns at each other, if I can go play AOS if you want that, I'd be like, tight, got it. Like, I'd be behind a hardline statement like that. But like I said, GW historically has these fucking flowcharts in their Beats labs where they have assigned threat levels to certain things or point values, and that has historically been a bad chart for a long time. And this is another one right here. They, for some reason, like we said, we talked about in the webcast. Juice, how many command points does it take for a unit in close combat that has access to a stratagem to fight again? How
3.
many? It's 3. How many points is it for Hive Guard to shoot twice?
2.
How many points is it for Obliterators to shoot twice?
2.
How many points is it for some Tau shit to shoot twice?
2.
How many points is it for, like, Captain Slam Gwinius to assault? Or how many points is it from
his Death Blossom attack is 5.
I got it. So how many points is it for him to take the relic before the game starts to not get overwatched?
1.
How many points is it to assault 3d6?
2.
How many points is it for him to attack?
No, he actually gets that for free with the relic, 3d6.
So how many points does it take? How many points does it take for him to attack again?
3.
How many points does it take for him if you actually successfully kill him for him to attack again?
2.
Like, that's
after he's dead, and then to give him an extra D3 attacks is another stratagem. Like, no, his death.
How many? Look how many resources go into making this guy kill a thing or 2
with 7 dice.
Kill a thing or 2. Look at how many resources go into that. Obliterators drop in, they fucking shoot and kill something, and then 2 command points later they killed another thing. Real simple. So GW, for some reason, and completely overevaluates the fucking assault.
I mean, I could see where they put more stress on it because you can technically assault twice in each battle round, but
see, that GW's always said that. They're like, oh, but technically, but they think like bubble wrap, screens, fucking infiltrating units. We have so many things in place to stop these things from happening that have been very effective for the last fucking quarter of 2018. And like, why are they doing it? Why?
If GW just said it is mandatory that every army has to take 3 scout units or 3 infiltrate units or 3 this, every army had to do that, that would be a better fix than fucking tell me that no assault can, that because again, there's no such thing as no assault. You can still have it happen, but that somehow I want to limit something that's already on the board, but not limit things like, again, the same war, because in all reality, you didn't stop these abilities from happening. You only gimped the other codexes that aren't a superpower. That's all you've done.
Yeah, and I want to bring up the point, like, because I saw the great meme on the internet, was Evan Valdike who shared it recently.
He put for the scatter dice.
He's like, if only we had a method that balanced risk and reward while deep striking, and it was a picture of a scatter dice.
Best meme ever.
And I love that meme, but why I love that meme, I have to remind Juice, we talked about in the webcast earlier. I didn't put 300 points of my army reserves in 7th edition when I didn't know if I was coming in on turn 2. Like, we never got to come in on turn 1. I didn't play that game in 7th edition. I'm not gonna play that fucking game in 8th edition. That's what I'm saying. It's like, so like it's just not, it's like, especially when for the next 90 days, everyone's gonna be a fucking gun line. I can't be like, your turn of a gun line shooting me, my turn. Your turn of a gun line shooting me, now my obliterators show up. Word. So I killed 2 things, get tabled. Like, I mean, like, if that's the reliance, if that's the kind of clutch units you've been using, obliterators coming in a pinch, bloodletter bomb stops this motherfucker from being in a fucking corner, castled up, playing this fucking gunline game. You know what I mean? Like, all of these things. And then the guy in the gunline game has to be like, well, I better take 2 infiltrating units to stop that from happening. Then the other guy's like, well, I better take a unit that can shoot those units off the table, or a unit that can get on the table before they get those units on the table so I can do this. It's like, now we're playing a game in a game that's gone. That's just shoot more, get good.
Yep, absolutely. So again, normally we don't address Q&As and stuff like that, but I think on the eve of all these big FAQs and the interaction is part of what people really love about our show, and we kind of get to the nitty gritty. I want to talk about something. Someone in the chat is saying, well, the Saint can only move 24 inches, which doesn't let you go anywhere you want. There are still areas on the board you might not be able to go. Let me just say, if you have models for deep striking, if you have modeled your deployment zone, I have to be 9 inches away from you. It's called zoning out.
Juice.
That is just something that is done.
Juice, ask me why I always have 15 Brimstone Horrors in my list, even though they suck. Ask me why.
Why do you have 15?
Because 15 Brimstone Horrors are on 1 inch basis, spaced 2 inches apart. How many inches is that, Juice? 15 with 2 inches of coherency and 1 inch themselves.
2 inches on either side, so 43 inches.
And how many inches? And how many inches?
And 2 on either.
And when you deep strike, how many inches do you have to be away from a Brimstone Horror?
9.
And so for 45 points, what have I effectively done here?
You have screened your entire board edge. Your deploy, not board edge, your deployment zone. You are more than 9 inches from everyone for, like, literally, are you kidding me?
You can't deep strike, but the Saint doesn't give a fuck about that.
Doesn't give an absolute shit. So if it's if you are Dawn of War deployment from your board edge, she can be 36 inches from your board edge and then roll 2d6 for a charge. Like, get at it. Like, I can't even, that she can go. So I'm going to do my best to talk this out loud so people can see the visual while they're driving to work, right? Or wherever you guys are doing, watching, listening to us. So if Kenny's method is right, on his 12-inch line, he has his Brimstone Horse. That means that I have to be 9 inches off the 12-inch line. That is as absolute close as I can get before I charge. If I put the Saint on the 12-inch line, she is on your deployment line. She has leaped over or is in base contact with your models before she even rolled a charge. That's how close she can get. And because she has fly, she could actually, with a 9-inch charge. So this is the difference. This is the best scenario here. With a 9-inch roll for her, she can be 3 inches off your board edge. Are you kidding me? Does that make sense to everybody? She's on the 12-inch line.
A classic tactic.
She moves
in this
24
scenario.
inches, rolls a 9-inch charge, and now she can touch something because she has fly. She can leap over models. She can get to a unit that is 3 inches off your opponent's board edge.
You say, so here are my Brimstone Horrors. She's 1 inch away from them. Now she says, I'm going to charge every unit in your army. And then I overwatch. I kill the Gemini sisters, the Yin Yang twins. She rolls a 7 Rerolls one of the dice into a 9 and literally leaps all the way to the back of my fucking army and gets to anyone she wants.
So versus the deep striking unit can only ever get just past the brimstone horse at best. So I mean, it's not even the same thing. Like, you know, so if you're telling me that anybody doesn't have the Saint or Singing Spears, God bless. The whole thing that I drew out right there, just so you know, for anybody who hasn't played against Singing Spears that are quickened, that are just deployed, we're not talking about, you don't even have to deep strike them. To be honest, the only reason why people were deep striking them is for the mirror match. Where if they had to go against that exact same army, you just held them back, and then they would assault each other's characters to kill each other's characters in their backfield. The first one to let that happen would win, you know. So you're telling me the Singing Spears get to move in advance and then move in advance? So they move 18 inches a turn, right? Each time that they do that. So they get to move 36 inches before they roll a charge. Like, so come to find out, if you don't play a book that can do that, you're shit on now.
Yeah, and we just gave you two big examples right there. That doesn't seem like it's keeping up. All right.
So this is why, and last thing, and I'm not trying to be salty right now. I'm just, again, we're laying out facts because I love what this FAQ has done for the game. But what we do is we always pride ourselves on, we call bullshit, bullshit. And we call great things, great things. This is bullshit because Grey Knights had the ability to do some kind of combo like this where other armies didn't. Orcs did. Eldar does. You know, Imperium does. Now it's just Eldar and Imperium. Does that sound like the two super factions that they're on?
I feel bad for Haspel. You know, we spend so much of our life convincing them that Grey Knights can win a game or two. And now the entire way Grey Knights play has been taken from them. Let me show up over here. Rapid fire you here. Let me move back over here. Let me do this. Literally, a Grey Knight army has to like potentially get shot at twice before it can do anything.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And then and lastly, triple lastly is Chaos can do it with Warp Time. So, I mean, again, like it's crazy how I don't like it that some armies can and others can't. All games are not created equal, but if you are taking away turn one salts, you should be able to leave some of these other things in. Moving on. Sorry, Rob.
No, I think those are great caveats there. We're always trying to keep it fresh and be real about things, and not just be like, oh, this is great and this is great and this is great. Command points. This was a big one, and I kind of feel bad for some of the Dark Eldar players that, from the last 2 weeks that kind of had something cool, but maybe it's not as cool anymore. But still, detachment command benefits is part of the interim balance review. So this is 100% the real rules right now. Anybody taking a battalion detachment, command benefits have changed to read +5, and anybody taking a brigade now can get +12 command points, so up from 9.
So I absolutely love this.
Off the heels of garbage.
Yep, the hills of garbage. I am so in love with this. Give us cool shit. Don't do what you just did and took cool shit away from us. Give us more shit. So I am so behind this. I can see myself wanting to run close combat armies and having to use these extra command points I just got to keep my units alive that are on the board.
Essentially, the way I look at it is the auto pass morale rule. Like I'm going to auto pass morale a lot more times in a game than I used to for 2 command points.
Yep, that's an absolute great thing. So, the one thing that I am a little salty about, not even salty, that's a strong word, that I noticed that I thought was a little off is I'm not running brigades anymore. I mean, how many lists? Every NID list I had.
No reason to run a brigade.
No, sir, not at all. I had a brigade of NIDs, of guard. We talked about running all these things, chaos brigades, double battalion, and just any other detachment, whether it's a Supreme Command, an Outrider, a Vanguard, it doesn't matter. Get you 14 command points right now, 5 for each battalion, 1 from the other, and 3 base starting. That is 14. If I run a brigade, I am only getting 15. And that I have to fill more slots on a brigade.
You waste a lot of points.
than just if I just take the bare minimums of these other for one command point. It's not worth it. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to just go triple battalion and have 18. That's the best combo, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%. Like I'm behind this one a lot. Like, so we have 2 great betas. We've got the 0 to 3 data slate per army. Fucking
love
great.
the 0 to 3. And
Love
for
it.
anybody who thought that we wouldn't like it, are you kidding me? I am down not to see as much spam. I am down, you know, because now we can get down to the brass tacks of, yeah, you want to know what my army might not be as, you know, all points efficient. I do have this, but come to find out, your entire book isn't either.
Juice,
So-
do you know how good my Adepticon list is if they let me use demon princes from different data slates as not more than the same data slate? Because like that's a triple battalion list.
Yeah, 18 command points. Wow.
Like, and which is sick, but I know that's gonna go away. So we have two out of 3 though, right? 2 out of 3 good rules.
Two out of 3 good rules. Robbie B, one thing you were like, oh, poor Eldar, Dark Eldar. Like, yeah, they did have the cool like patrol detachments, real kind of fluffy. But let me tell you what, I ain't saying poor Eldar nothing, because those psychotic individuals are going to be strong in the game of 40K. Okay, they have CP regeneration. They have assault. They have a lot of nasty
Juice,
shit coming out.
what was one of our favorite units from the Dark Eldar Codex we talked about?
Witches.
Talos.
And Talos, absolutely.
So witches, so we love witches, but witch bomb got changed a little bit, right? So like witch come out of the webway turn 1 and fucking shit in your cereal. That's not the same. But Talos, they get to break 1 rule and they got a buff. The first rule they break is the 0 to 3 rule. Motherfuckers are squadrons, son.
Squadrons.
Yep.
You can have 9.
You can have 9 Talos. So Talos immediately break a rule that everybody else has to follow. Secondly, they get fly.
Giving them a fly keyword, which made sense because the damn model has the clear rod, you know, fly stand in it to keep it up, because you know how it is. So I think that is strong. Again, is it game changing? Is it something? I don't believe so. I wish my Carnifexes had fly. That's what I see them.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna see Talos spam for surezies now.
Oh, absolutely.
Remember
And
we
for
were talking about, I'll take 3, I'll do 2. I'm like, I'm doing 9, son.
Yeah. Come to find out, for 1,000 points, you can have 9 of them. For actually,
and
4
I get
times
all-
9 for 945 points, you can have 9 of them.
And I get all these free command points now, so I'm not even worried about like where are my command points coming from. Like I got plenty, son.
No, agreed.
Yo, shit's gangster.
Yeah, so I guess is this a good way? Do we have any time left to segue about what the new FAQ has done to our list?
We will do that next week.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, why don't we say that for next week? We can start going down our personal list and what we think the meta is going to shift to.
Yeah, definitely. We'll do a lot of more Q&A throughout the week. Obviously, we'll be on Twitch another time this week. We'll do the webcast on Wednesday. We'll with a big open Q&A section. We'll break down how we are adapting to the new rules for sure. We take a quick second to talk about the longwarswag.com. Anybody just tuning in, hearing this for the first time, it's finally happened. We have a swag shop now, longwarswag.com. We have all the t-shirts, all the Adepticon designs, the old Kickstarter, some brand new designs. We've got posters, mugs, hats, everything. But here's the big news. We already sold a bunch, and these are print on demand. We were very clear and honest with you guys about the intent. We are taking 100% of the profit from these to fund our inventory on dice bags and dice, the things you guys want. We've just made our first inventory purchase. We will have 50 new dice bags of 2 different designs in the shop real soon. I'm hoping by the end of the month. And we're just going to keep that love going. We're going to have dice really soon. We're going to keep putting in new things to pick from. We're going to keep it going. So definitely, if you haven't had an opportunity to check it out, longwarswag.com. Rob? We're
going to get on out of here, so make sure you head on over to longwar.net. That, of course, is the home of the battle reports. Soon to be new post-FAQ battle reports for exclusive content, early access, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.